this is a very, very serious issue and it needs to be dealt with. We need to really realize and understand where we are and the next steps to take. The Nigerian military has said that they are not in the right position to expose the people who are sponsoring Boko Haram terrorists in the country. Now, Boko Haram is the popular. We have ISWAP, and all of them have different factions operating in the north of Nigeria. And of course, they have splinter groups hidden in the south of Nigeria, either as Fulani herdsmen or any of those names, bandits. Nigerian Army Coordinator of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, stated this at a media briefing on Thursday morning in Abuja. Major Enenche admitted that the army knows that some criminal individuals have heavy financial backing and they are backing the terrorists. But the major task for the military is to fight against terrorism and other criminality in the country. Enenche explained that the National Intelligence Agency and the Department of Secret State Services were responsible for revealing the sponsors of the terrorists in Nigeria. Now, where is the line crossed? Where is the line crossed? This one is, in fact, I believe they've overcrossed the line. So the military knows the people that are involved in keeping terrorism alive in the north. They know these people. Well, it is not far-fetched anyway, in case they do not want to tell you. The only thing is that they are not pointing fingers and calling names. We know that the monarchs, the rulers in the north are involved in this. We know that the politicians in the north, they are involved in this. We know that the military is also involved in this. We know that the religious leaders in this part of Nigeria, they are all involved in this. But who and who amongst them? That is where the military has decided to withdraw, and they've refused because it is beneficial to them. After all, every year there are a lot of money that they make from allocations that the federal government commits to the fight against terrorism. And aside this too, they also kind of relate with the terrorists where they have to bargain on who to be released or not. Look at the number of military in Nigeria, the soldiers, foot soldiers dying. Some of them have even made videos accusing Brutai, and they say they are fearless. And recently, Brutai asked that the wife of one of the men, the man that protested and spoke and recorded the video, they took the wife of the man and arrested her and locked her up. This is terrible. This is terrible. That's why a lot of people are asking for a break of Nigeria. What is going on here? So they should just go on and die. Well, it's just because these people have passion for this job. It's not a do or die affair. It's very simple. I understand that there are certain agencies you join and you cannot get out of it. Maybe like the military, you sign and you cannot get out of it until death, or when they retire you for one thing or the other. So many of them won't want to do this job again, but what else are they going to do? They've trained to be soldiers. What would they do if they are outside of this? Well, he said that the duty of the army is to uncover the sponsors of the... It is not the duty of the army to uncover the sponsors of the terrorists. The military duty is to remain right there in the front line and defeat Boko Haram terrorists and other criminality. And that is what we are doing to help to protect the citizens. That is the job of the National Intelligence Agency and the Department of State, Secret State Services. Those are the ones to deal with the civilians. So what is the DSS doing? They are much more interested in arresting SH0Čě. They are interested in arresting protesters. What is the job of the military? They would rather go into Abia State and try to arrest and disrupt IPOB. This is terrible. We have the National Intelligence Agency and the Department of Secret State Security. It is their responsibility to gather information on the sponsors of the terrorist group and not the military. We are not going to do any of that. That's the words of Brutai, or the spokesperson of the military. How do you defeat an enemy group that keeps receiving reinforcement? That's the first question. How do you? What you do is to crush that reinforcement where they regain weapons, where they get food, where they get all of this. So if someone is sponsoring them, that sponsor is a reinforcement. So to put an end to it, you make sure you attack the sponsors same way the terrorists are attacked. But unfortunately, the will to crush terrorism in Nigeria is zero. They are not ready to crush terrorism in Nigeria. So for people who believe that the Nigerian army, with the politics that is inside of their operations, if you think they are going to defeat Boko Haram, it's a lie. Give Chadian soldiers 1 month. They will crush everything called terrorism in Nigeria, because they did it. They defeated the Badua faction and they killed them. And they even pointed where SH0Čė1NG is. But they were not going to get into the border, across the border into Nigeria. They were not going to do that because, of course, Nigeria is a sovereign nation and that would be against international law. They were able to do this successfully. Why is it that the Nigerian army, with all the funds and all the giants of African name that we call ourselves, will find it difficult to crush insurgency in our nation? What if other nations come against us? What else would happen? The will to do this is not there. Unfortunately, there are a lot of soldiers that somehow put themselves on the line to fight a war that they will never ever win. It's terrible. Someone say, if you people refuse to expose the Boko Haram sponsor simply because of the money you people are getting from Boko Haram issue, that's all. Useless army officers. When nonsense is the army chief saying, what nonsense is this army chief saying? That is not the army's responsibility to reveal the sponsors of Boko Haram. If the army knows and cannot reveal it, then it's a shame to the army and the president. If you people refuse to expose the Boko Haram sponsors simply because of the money you make, then you are all useless. In other countries, they are not hiding their bad leaders. Some are even killed by their government. But in Nigeria, once you have money, you can kill dozen people, and it is all right to them, the leaders, while God is not sleeping. Judgment day is ahead of everybody, no matter who you are, because both Christians and Muslims believe that there is God. If our past leaders can come back to life, then they can tell our present leaders to change their ways of life. Yes, the poor are dying at the same life they have as others, and the same heaven they are heading to, and the same judgment, because no one is more superior than the other. You know who is killing you, and you cannot expose him. Stop killing our educated young soldiers from the south. No wonder. That is why when Boko Haram kills hundreds, you, the top commanders, rejoice. And when the young army boys in the bush capture Boko Haram, you top commanders will take the captured Boko Haram, you take them into rehabilitation. This is terrible. They are rehabilitating, forgiving terrorists, while the soldiers that died, what has been given to their families? What has been given to the families? Look at the IDP. Look at the camps. Are they sponsoring the children of that the Boko Haram have displaced? Yet they are giving our money, resources to terrorists. What are they saying? Join terrorism. If we capture you on the other side, we will still give you pardon and give you money. Why wouldn't they go into the north and take off their margins from the street and give them a better life, so that terrorists cannot take any of them, brainwash them, and use them for all these devious activities? They will never do that because it is not profitable to them. This is nonsense. You know the sponsors of terrorists. You know the people giving life to terrorism. You know the people giving weapons financially and all of that to the terrorists. And you said, no, we know them, but it's not our job. Our job is to allow them to keep sponsoring them, and we keep fighting a war that we will never win. This is the most useless I've ever heard. This administration is riddled with the most stupid that you've ever imagined. That is not because this administration brought in terrorists, but they've given room to the greatest mediocrity and foolishness that you can ever think of in life. How much worse can this get? We know who the sponsors of this terrorist are. The same thing was said by the military in Katsina State, Daura, Katsina State, where Buhari comes from. They said The reason why we've not been able to brush off bandits there is because there are people, we don't want to call their names. That one was said by the spokesperson, Garba Shehu, spokesperson to Buhari, media representative, that we know them, but there are monarchs there and their traditional leaders and rulers there. They are the ones that give information to bandits and terrorists. Let us break so that they can keep giving information and destroying themselves if that's what they want. If they're not asking for a break or they're not going to reform themselves, we must break.